Good morning. Oh, fuck, I pressed the wrong button. My fault. My fault, guys. I pressed the wrong button. But good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Degenerate Simulators podcast. I'm your host Jordan. We got Daniel with us today. And
Hey guys.
we're watching on YouTube. You can see we have a third individual here for the first time.
Hello, guys. I am the third individual in the party for today.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
this is our friend Dio. He wanted to be included because we do have some UFC picks going out today. Um, but yeah, we're gonna save it for the end of the episode because this UFC card, a lot of drama going on with it, and it is the first pay per view of the year. But before we get into our picks, we are gonna recap. Can you guys believe it? We went 1-2 again. Celtics overhit
Let's go.
relatively easily. Knicks -4. They kept it close for most of the game, and then they ended up losing by I think 20 points or something crazy. I don't know. And then Vegas looked pretty good, and then they just get 2 goals scored on them. They get one back, but don't end up tying it up to give us a shot. So we're 1-2 on the day, but only down 1 unit. So not the worst, but definitely do a lot better. But yeah, we have 6 picks going out today. This is our biggest episode so far. Yeah. We have 1 NFL, 1 NBA, 1 NHL, and then we have 3 UFC picks. But yeah, I'm gonna kick it over to Daniel first for Saki and Dell.
All right, guys. Coming in hot. Number one pick. Blue Jackets at Rangers. We are taking the Blue Jackets plus 1.5. Don't have the odds yet. Give me 1 second.
It's -160.
Um,
I got him.
there we go. So Blue Jackets, honestly, underrated team. They last season sucked really bad. This season they're making a comeback. They are holding on to that wild card number 1 spot in the East, which is pretty good, especially for a team that was in the bottom 6 last season. Um, the Rangers, I mean, we've had a lot to say about them on this podcast, but they've been picking it up too, especially towards the second half of the season. They also want that wild card spot or a spot in the playoffs, just in general. So this is going to be a pretty good game, I think. Very tight, probably very good hockey played on both sides. Both teams have some pretty heavy hitters. Blue Jackets with Kirill Marchenko, Sean Monahan, and Zach Werenski picking it up. And the Rangers with obviously Panarin and Zibanejad and Shesterkin doing their thing. So yeah, pretty solid game that we have going on here. And now the reason for plus 1.5, I think, it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be tied for the most of it. It might even go to overtime, but there's no way in my mind that this game anyone wins by more than 1 point. So yeah, as far as side bets go, we are taking Panarin over half a goal at plus 150. He's got 3 goals in his last 5 games. Pretty solid for a goal scorer. And then we are taking Kirill Marchenko for over half an assist at plus 130, which I think is a steal considering Bro has 5 assists in his last 5 games. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I have for hockey. I'm going to swing the rock back over to Jordan for some NBA.
Hey guys, funny thing about Zibanejad, I actually paid for early access of the Epstein flight logs, and Zibanejad was a frequent flyer. But
Yo, him and Sebastian Aho
oh dude,
are
I
on
heard they
that
flew
list.
private too. They were, I don't know, something fishy's going on with those two. But anyways, we have 2 NFL games going on tomorrow. As you guys know, I don't bet on any games regarding the Chiefs, so we're just disregarding that. Not a fan. But we're looking at the Commanders at the Detroit Lions. I've given the Lions a lot of praise on this podcast, so I'll keep it pretty short since you guys have heard me talk about them enough. If you guys aren't aware, 12-5 against the spread on the year, and the Commanders can't stop the run game here, and the Lions have not one but 2 amazing running backs. Um, very versatile play style, given that they have 2 guys that can get it done. Jahmyr Gibbs is coming off a 4 touchdown game against the Vikings. Insanity. Lions have the 6th best rushing attack in the league, and the Commanders sit all the way at 30th place in rushing defense. Um, yeah, I don't see a universe that the Lions don't drop 40 points on the Commanders' heads. And you got to remember that the Washington Commanders quarterback is still a rookie. Uh, obviously good on him for getting his team to the playoffs, but going into Detroit in enemy territory is not, nothing can really prepare you for that, especially in your first year. Number for the Lions is -9. Um, you know, like I said, I have numbers that I kind of like to play between, but yeah, the if the Lions can start their run game early and then start, getting their defense messed up, and tossing out some big passing plays, yeah, they're gonna run away with this game. So taking the Lions at -9, it's at -110. And then next pick, we're looking at the Cavs at the Timberwolves. Um, as we know, the Cavs just lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Pretty tough loss. They got blown out pretty bad. Um, I will give the Timberwolves some credit. They have looked a lot better in recent games, but there's just no world that they can compete with this Cavaliers offense. And we know how good the Cavaliers offense is. We also have to remember that they do have a top 10 defense, creeping towards the top 5 actually. Well, actually, I don't know now because they got destroyed by Oklahoma, but still a top 10 defense in the league. The Cavs sit 13-5 ATS on the road, which is really good, and 10-4 as away favorites. And also in non-conference matchups, they are 10-2 against the spread. I like these numbers a lot, and they're only catching 6 points. Surprised it's down in the double digits, so it's a steal there, in my opinion. Honestly, if you want to bump it up to like 6.5, 7, I could get behind it. Get you to even or even plus money, but I'm playing it safe. Given how our last few episodes have gone, we're taking the Cavs -6 at -115, and yeah, we got some UFC picks, uh, courtesy of Jordan. Big card. Um, you know, you guys keeping
Huge
up?
card.
Yeah, well, could have been a way bigger card, but as you guys know, Arman Sarukian, he was talking about the secret move he was gonna bust out. Turns out it was just pulling out of the fight. Didn't see that one coming. But I have 3 picks. Honestly, there's so many fights you can bet on, but I'm just trying to, you know, stick to what I know here. Don't want to dabble too hard. But first fight I'm looking at is Reiner de Ridder versus Kevin Holland. Um, honestly, I don't really know how to feel about this matchup. I like Kevin Holland a lot. Um, but I don't really like him as of late in the middleweight division. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's much more suited as a welterweight fighter. I think he definitely does have a power and strength disadvantage when he's fighting at 185. Um, but on the other side of that, De Ridder did not look good in his UFC debut against a 37-year-old Gerald Meerschaert. Um, but we kind of see that reflected in the moneyline odds, as it is pretty close to dead even. So I decided to look at some other aspects of this fight. The over/under line is sitting at 2.5 rounds. I think if De Ridder wants to win this fight, he is gonna have to kind of point fight Kevin Holland, because I think Kevin can pick him apart on the feet, despite like I said, he's gonna have a power disadvantage. But yeah, De Ridder's averaging 6.5 takedowns per fight, so I could see him getting Kevin Holland down to the ground, but Kevin Holland, he's not no slouch in jiu-jitsu as well. He does have a lot of submission wins, but if he isn't the bottom position for a lot of this fight, I definitely think he can fend himself off. So the over is actually sitting at give me 1 second here, guys. It's at +110. I like this. I like the odds more than having to pick a fighter, since it is close to dead even. I'd rather take it slightly plus money. So I'm taking this fight over 2.5 rounds. Well, Dio, what are your thoughts on this?
Um, I think in stylistically, this is a very interesting fight. The over 2.5 rounds. I'm gonna have to disagree. I think in terms of like resume, I don't think De Ritter has anything that I've seen that's um stands out, right? Kevin Holland has fought a lot of good guys, has done a lot of crazy things. Um, I think his last fight against a very good opponent was a fluke. Obviously, it was very, up in there on what kind of happened there with his rib injury. I do think Kevin Holland, with his pressure, with his style, and the way the Ritter is kind of awkward when he fights, I do think Kevin Holland could get it done on the feet specifically, under the 2.5.
Okay, you don't think, but I don't know. I feel like the Ritter kind of knows that he's definitely outclassed on the feet and is definitely going to try and get this fight to the ground.
Yeah, I
So
mean, like you mentioned, Kevin Holland is no slouch on the ground. I think, I think in terms of coming to the UFC, right? Like you said, his last fight was not, it wasn't very special.
mhm.
Um, I think Kevin Holland is a big step up, right? Kevin Holland's not the same guy he used to be, but in terms of actual, you know, technique and how good of a fighter he is, I think Kevin Holland is a big step up, and I think that'll be very apparent anywhere the fight goes, whether that be on the feet or on the ground.
All right, understandable. The next fight we're jumping to, we're looking at the sorry, not the co-main event. We're looking at Yuri Prohaska versus Jamal Hill. Um,
Oh, man.
yeah, I don't like Jamal Hill. I used to like him, and then Pereira gave him CTE, and he just became the most insufferable fighter on the roster. But
He is
aside
kind of
from
an
that,
asshole.
yeah,
I agree.
but aside from that, um, I actually have watched a lot of these fighters fights, especially recently, because this is actually one of the fights I'm more excited for rather than the two main events. I'm not gonna lie,
The
but
people's fight.
this is the people's fight. I might be a little biased because I really do want to see Jamal Hill just get absolutely flatlined, but I don't know. I think Yuri's awkward style is really not going to pair well against Jamal Hill. Um, Jamal Hill has, I'm not going to say overall bad footwork, but there's times in his fights where he tries to reset and get back into his range, but his brain just turns off. And we kind of saw this in the Pereira fight when he got his back up against the cage. He literally, he didn't know what to do, and then he got fucking left hooked to death. Um, but we can also see this in a lot of his other fights, especially if he's trying to string together combos. He doesn't really know how to get back out of range and back in. He kind of, I don't know, it's very strange. But Yuri Prohaska is a fighter who likes to capitalize on these things. We kind of saw this in the Rakic fight. He was throwing Rakic all around and just catching him from the craziest angles when he finished that fight. So if Hill has another slip up like this, which he more than likely will, I think Yuri catches him and puts him away. And yeah, so and also Yuri's sitting at a plus 110, which is kind of crazy. I don't know how he's underdogged in this fight, but I like the odds. I like Yuri, and I think he beats Jamal Hill. So I'm taking the Yuri Prohaska money line.
Fair enough.
Um,
Yuri blocks a lot of shots with his chin, though. I mean,
Yeah, but
yeah,
he did
I
recently
was
say in an
going to.
interview that he is going to have his hands up in this fight. So I'm
I
excited to
was
see
gonna
that.
I was
okay.
gonna
Well, there
touch
we
on
go.
that.
That's a step forward.
I was
Yeah.
gonna touch on that. In terms of, sorry, Jordan, I don't want to just disagree with you on all picks, but I used to be a very big Jamal Hill fan. He did kind of go downhill in terms of likability, but I don't
Yeah.
think he went
Say
down
that.
in terms of skill. Right? Obviously, what happened with Pereira, uh, that's Alex Pereira. We're talking about arguably one of the greatest of all time. Right? Neither Yuri or Jamal Hill is even in that conversation. I think the awkward style you mentioned of Yuri is something to point out, but I don't think it's awkward in a good way like some of these other guys are. I think it's awkward in a way where, like Daniel says,
Blocks a lot of shots
putting
with his
he's
chin.
putting his hands down, he's getting hit, right? And the thing you see with Jamal Hill is you can't really just get hit by Jamal. Like he's one of those guys that's seriously he's putting you out with one shot. Uh, and although Yuri is very explosive, very he has a lot of weird techniques he likes to pull out. I do think Jamal Hill, um, if given the opportunity to land a big shot, which is not a long shot, I do think Jamal Hill can unfortunately put out Yuri's lights.
Well, I did want to
You
touch on
know,
that too. Actually, I feel like just when you get into like the heavier divisions overall, just like light heavyweight and heavyweight, they are just really hard to pick, honestly, because
yeah,
if you're anywhere, if you're a ranked fighter, especially those heavier divisions. I think everyone has the ability to, they could be losing the whole fight, and then if they get one good shot, they definitely can make things interesting. But
I will say I don't like when I saw Jamal being the favorite in this fight. Um, Honestly, the reason I don't think he's a bigger favorite is just because of how unlikable he is. I think if we saw a pre-Alex Jamal fighting Yuri, this gap would be much bigger, right? I don't think I've seen Yuri Prohaska really do anything uh, incredibly outstanding in the division. But then again, this division isn't the most exciting outside of maybe 3-4 guys.
yeah, I agree with you on
So
that one.
Yeah.
But also with just with
Still,
this card
Fury.
overall, they definitely did their they definitely did really good in the matchmaking aspect.
yeah,
A lot of these
Sure.
fights, um, yeah, even with some of the odds, it doesn't really reflect it. But like, it's very hard to, you know, anything can happen really with a lot of these fights, even on fights in the prelims, early prelims, things like that. But
I mean,
Isn't
Yuri
Yuri
did
only
cut his
really
hair.
lost?
yeah, Baldieri, I
Bald
think
Yuri
that
might
might
be a
yeah
different,
that might
a
be
different
a mythical fighter. I'm
conversation.
not
Yeah,
gonna
who
lie.
knows, man? Hasn't Yuri only really lost to Alex
Yeah, in the he
in the
hasn't
UFC at
fought that
least?
many times in the
Yeah,
UFC.
he's only lost to Alex. Let's look at Jamal Hill. He's also only lost to
Yeah,
Alex.
man. I mean, I
So
don't know.
it's like, and then
I'm
But it
just
Jamal
also
saying
lost
because
once. Yuri
you said
lost twice. So
but it also goes
not
back
yeah,
funny.
you
to
know,
the slowness of this division. Um,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I
yeah,
like
yeah.
Glover Teixeira, but it did get held up by his 55-year-old ass for a little
yeah.
bit. But all right, well, last official pick of the night. I am gonna have a very goofy side bet at the end of this. But we're looking at the co-main event. Va- wow, my brain just turned off. Valishvili against Uzmar Nurmagomedov. Um,
Uzmar.
did I say that wrong?
Who's
Yeah, Umar.
Oh, my fault, guys. Isn't there
You're,
there is
you're
an
good, bro.
there is an Uzmar,
You're
right?
good. Uzmar.
Isn't
There's
there?
a Uzman. There's a Usman who's
I
like,
just combined the
everybody knows
two.
Usman?
My
yeah,
fault, guys. But just from a betting standpoint, how a champion is catching plus 210 beats me. Um, obviously, I think the name has a lot to do with the odds here. But
yeah,
when you look at
yeah.
terms of resume, I mean, well, before we even get into that, stylistically relatively similar, wrestling heavy game
Yeah.
plans. But when you look at resumes, um, Marab blows Umar out of the water real bad. Um, I think Dio, before we started recording, he made a point that they kind of set up the Sandhagen fight to kind of prove something with Umar. And although he won, I agree it really didn't prove, that he's just like out of this world talent in this division. But then we look at Marab's side. He's beat Sean O'Malley. He's beat Piotr Jan. Um, oh, and I had it pulled up on my phone.
Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, he sunned Henry Cejudo real bad. Um, yeah, so I think Marab's just faced much more talent in his career in the UFC.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, both similar fighting styles, but I just think Marab is better at it. He's closing in. I think he's what, touchdowns, 5 takedowns away from the UFC record or something somewhere in that
He's
ballpark.
5 away from matching the
Yeah,
record.
and then 6 from breaking.
6 would be breaking. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know, so like I said, I think he is more effective in his game plan.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just a very interesting fight to see. Also, Dio did make a point. They do call him the machine for a reason. Um, I think if Marab can get him down early and just wear him out, Umar's not going to be able to keep up. Um, if you want to, kind of just if you don't want to pick a fighter, I think this fight does go the distance. I'm not going to lie. Um,
Mm.
what are your thoughts on that?
Um. I agree with every single thing you said.
Mhm.
I really think the only reason Umar is a favorite is because he's fighting on the same card as Islam. Obviously you have Coach Khabib in the corner. Marab is simply better. He's fought better guys. He's on this crazy win streak. He seems to be better every time he's in, right? The one thing I will say with Marab is coming off of that recent surgery, which could affect him.
Yeah, he has like something on his leg, right? Or like
Yeah, he had a surgery like on his shin, but like you said, they are both wrestle heavy. So if it does stay primarily on the ground, which it probably will, um, I do still think Marab edges him out. Especially, obviously, we don't love Henry Cejudo, but he does have some gold medals under his belt. So,
yeah,
and
and
then obviously you saw what Marab
Marab,
was able to
yeah,
do to him.
yeah.
Even not only that, Marab was able to stand and strike with Sean O'Malley in the small exchanges they did have, uh, and it really didn't look like he was being severely outstruck until maybe like round 5.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty relative, and Sean O'Malley is arguably the best striker at 135. Aside from maybe Corey Sandhagen, who got, you know, he's been weird, and we saw what Umar did to him. So it'll be it'll be weird to see, because it's one of those fights that it can be like they both realize they can't really do anything on the floor,
I feel like
so they will have to stand up.
realistically, it kind of just comes down to who can land their takedowns first.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. I feel like let's say Marab gets him down in the first round. I don't think Umar's getting back up.
Yeah.
Umar gets him down in the second round. Marab might not get back up. So this is like there's such a big spectrum of the way this fight can go. We can see the scorecards, very interesting. I feel like, but yeah, Marab, like I said, he's a plus 210, I think. So decent money there. And now for the crazy side bet, guys. I'm only throwing this down if this is like a good night, like minimum 5-1 type
Show
deal.
me the money.
So funny story about me and me, Daniel, and Renato Moicano. We actually met him at the UFC 298 weigh-ins.
Didn't know who he was.
Yeah, it's really weird seeing UFC fighters because like you see him on TV all the time and you see him in person and you're like, what?
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, we figured out who it was. This is me. This is me and him posted up. So we're basically best friends. And since this photo actually, he's 2-0. I'm when it comes to other sports, I'm a big numbers guy. If it's a good night, I believe he's at plus 650 right now. Let me double check.
750, I think.
Yeah. He jumped.
I
I checked it before we
Wow.
started recording. He was 650, so that's a big line
They're
jump
doing him
since we just
dirty.
started the episode.
He's winning that fight. He can't afford to lose.
I mean, you guys heard the man at the weigh-ins. You don't care who it is. He can't afford to lose, guys.
Show me the money.
But I don't know. I just think it's like Moicano quite literally has the chance to do the funniest thing of all time in UFC history. This isn't the first time we've seen someone like, outside of the, like I think Steve Erceg fought Pantoja at like ranked 12th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the first time we've seen a fighter, be this low in the rankings. Obviously, this wasn't like a planned thing, obviously, but yeah, I think it could be funny.
Moicano said he's training for it. He was training for a 5-round fight.
I mean, I don't think ranking really has anything to do with matchups, if we're being honest.
I mean,
right? Like,
not anymore.
Look at what's his name? Jamal Hill, not Jamal Hill. Alex and Khalil. Right, Khalil was like ranked like what 8 or 9, and it's the best fight that Alex has had.
But then again, we also did agree that the light heavyweight division is very wacky.
But yeah, you're right. But what I'm saying is, Moicano is not a slouch.
No, not at all. Especially
He's had some pretty bad fights, to be honest. But his last 2 fights, especially
he's on a
his last
6-fight
fight,
winning streak.
Is that fight with BSD was just I think it surprised a lot of us.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
And there's
Nobody
that
thought he was
small
winning that
chance where he can do that here. So what I would say is if you're taking the deal pick, put the house on Moicano by knockout round 1. Just trust me.
So this is the thing. Like I don't know. obviously they say like, oh, it doesn't matter if I'm facing a new opponent. It does to a certain extent.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some things, especially like in the film room aspect of things, you're gonna miss. That's just how it is. Especially,
Yeah.
if this fight was switched like a week ago, obviously better prepared. But this change literally happened. Well, you guys are watching tomorrow, so it literally happened the day before the fight. Um, so this could be very interesting. I think Islam realistically beats the fuck out of him. If we're being honest here, but like we said, there's always a puncher's chance, and you heard the man, he can't afford to lose. So
He can't. Show me the money.
I never did I think we'd be living in a timeline where there's a possibility that Moicano like can be the champion. Like
Think about it. If he wins, you took a picture with a future champion. That's insane.
Also, so every time Moicano's won, I've posted that picture and with the updated record since that photo. I think it would be awesome to be like 3-0 and lightweight champion.
Dang.
And new.
Yeah.
And new.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for all the official picks today, guys. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we round everything up?
Blue Jackets are on a 6-game winning streak.
Hell yeah.
And everyone, Sharks money line tomorrow versus the Islanders. It's at, let me see, plus 185. Macklin Celebrini for 5 goals and 10 assists.
All right.
My goat.
All right, Daniel just blessed you guys with like a new car with that
yeah.
lock.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have any other UFC fights you want to talk about, Dio, that we didn't make official picks on? Actually, really quick, I am excited to see Peyton Talbot fight again. I love that guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of picks,
too.
not really, but in terms of fights to look out for, that Peyton Talbot fight for sure. And the Grant Dawson fight looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, I like Grant Dawson a lot. He's cool.
Both of those guys are already favorites, and I mean Peyton Talbot's at minus 1,000, so there's not really much room to work there. But
Peyton Talbot by
I think even Talbot by knockout is like, I wouldn't say like heavily favored, but it's like a considerable amount. Like,
I mean, yeah, with guys like this, like Peyton Talbot, like those new upcoming guys, they really throw them guys that aren't good, just so they can kind of climb the ranks a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the guy he's fighting is 1 in 3 or 4 of his last, fights.
Well, I will say the guy he's fighting, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I don't know shit about him, but I did look at some of his stats. He does look like more of a wrestler, which I mean, like Dio just said, they're kind of throwing these no names at.
I got right here 8 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission, 5 first-round finishes.
Well, I was looking at the stats on ESPN. He'd be throwing up a lot of takedowns, and his takedown accuracy was pretty high.
His takedown accuracy is actually not pretty high.
Is it not?
33%.
Oh, my fault.
It's actually relatively low. His takedown defense is pretty high at sitting.
Sorry, guys. I'll be looking at these picks while I'm working. I'm.
Peyton Talbot does have a good wrestling base though, so that should be a good fight. Hopefully, we'll see Payne, climb those ranks pretty fast and eventually get one of those fights there. So I think that's about it. We're not going to talk about the Almeida fight.
I hope
group nap time when that one comes.
I hope Spivak throws him out of the ring, or the octagon. Sorry, just picks him up and tosses him. I don't think you guys understand how happy I was when Curtis Blades elbowed the fuck out of him, and while he was crotch sniffing, that was honestly one of my favorite moments of last year's fights. That was really poetic. But we're gonna recap really quick. We have the lines -9 for 1.15 units, Cavs -6 for another 1.15, Blue Jackets +1.5, 1.6 units. It is sitting up -160, so we're paying a hefty price tag on that one. Yuri Prohaska money line for 1 unit, Marab money line for 0.5 units, as it is +210. I think I caught it at. I think it's +200 now, but and then over 2.5 rounds in the Kevin Holland versus Reiner de Ritter fight. Like I said, biggest episode we've had so far. 6 picks, 6.4 units in play. Would love to go undefeated. That'd be pretty awesome. That's gonna do it for today, guys. We will catch you in the next one.
Happy birthday, Peter.